everyone, I have another 10 cards to share using the Spellbinders February 2022 card kit of the month. So for card number 1, I'm using the pattern paper that has the stripes and also this leafy pattern paper and the card bases that come in the kit, and I have put my panel down with a 1/4 inch border, or it's an 1/8 of an inch around all the edges, so 1/4 inch smaller than a standard card size. And then I am putting the leafy pattern down in the bottom there, and I'm using the chipboard frame and this die cut leaf from the die cut pack. So my frame is just a placeholder right now because I want this leaf die cut to be coming out from underneath the chipboard frame. So I place that down with liquid glue first, and then I'm going to take the adhesive backer paper off, and I always like to add a little bit of adhesive to the chipboard stickers because I feel like they don't stay otherwise. And so I do that, and then this goes on in the center, and I have this die cut from the die cut pack. It's a little bird on a kind of a gilded branch there. It's got some gold accents. Now, because the chipboard frame has some dimension, I pull in this thin mounting tape that I have just to give the top of the bird something to sit on, and adding glue to the frame where the bird attaches. I have another chipboard sticker from the kit. It says "Miss You" and some other things in gold, and I'm going to place that down at the bottom. And then we're going to bring in the dies from this kit, which they have some very useful words I really liked. I used the "just saying" and then another word die a lot. I don't know, I just love that. So this is "just" and "saying," and it's cut out in the gold cardstock that comes in the kit. And then I'm going to place that down, and using a paper towel to get any excess because the glue really makes the gold not look as nice. And that's how card number 1 turns out. For card number 2, again, card base, and then there's this floral pattern which is white with kind of a blue, real light floral image, and then there's a tone-on-tone green leafy pattern paper that I'm going to use. And I have these 2 scraps placed on the gold cardstock. There's rainbows and this kind of cloud pattern paper. And I'm just kind of laying these out so that we can get an idea of what I'm doing with this green paper. Now I'm making a mark with my pencil, and then I'm going to bring my ruler in to make a nice straight line, a guide line, because what I want to do is tear the end of this, but I want it to be in a diagonal, and so I needed something to follow. And you could also use the ruler to tear, but it'll be an even straighter edge. It'll be rough but straighter, and I wanted it just a little more wonky. This is how it looks. And then I'm going to glue this paper down. I have a little mark that I needed to erase from my pencil, but other than that, it's good. And so for this one, I'm lining up the top and the 2 sides to make them around the same distance. And then I can put down my 2 other pattern papers that are mounted onto the gold cardstock. And this is a little finicky here because I have a sliver in between those, not much at all, and so I was having a hard time. I have about the same distance from the top and the 2 sides as well, but in between the 2 gold pieces is only really a sliver. And if you wanted to make those panels smaller, you could have more room in between, personal choice. So here's this die cut from the die cut pack, and I mounted it on all that mounting tape, and then to finish off the card, I'm going to use the sentiment from the die cut pack, "Hugs," and just glue it down flat in the bottom right hand side of the card. And again, my paper towel's getting any excess glue, because man, can I make a mess, I tell ya. Especially with glue. I get dirty so fast. So for card number 3, there are a couple beautiful floral pattern papers in the paper pad. This is one of them. I think it was the first one, and I just love it, but I want to tone down some of it in the background. So I cut out a piece of vellum for my stash, and again, that oval was for my stash, and I cut out the adhesive double stick tape from the oval. Now, if I did this again, I think I would just stick the vellum on the adhesive first, because it was real tricky attaching those 2. But do you see how that softens the look of that background paper? And then we're going to pull in the dies, and there's this branch die that I've cut out twice in gold cardstock, and there's a whole lot of gluing there that I just got rid of for you. And I'm figuring out how to lay these down to kind of go around my oval. So once I can get it in a nice place, so the second one doesn't have glue on yet, but it's helping me get it in the right spot. Then I glue up the second one and can fiddle it into place here, and it makes a beautiful oval frame. Very delicate, lovely. So to finish off this card while that's drying there or getting stuck down, I have the two of the butterfly die cuts and the hugs again. I really love that sentiment. And the hugs I put up on mounting tape, mounting squares. So the two butterflies I'm just going to glue down relatively flat. I say relatively because this larger butterfly goes across that gold card, so even the top of the wing didn't want to glue down at all. And then I thought, you know what, the wing can be off, it's okay. So I didn't push it down. And then to finish off the card, the hugs is going to go down here. Now their newer mounting tape, I think it's stickier than it used to be because it kept grabbing my frame and trying to pull it off the card. Oh, I forgot, I'm going to add 3 sequins down here in the bottom, just to add a little bit of extra shine, I guess, in this card and finish it off a little more. And so that is how I will finish off this card. So for card number 4, I've got the card base, and then I've got that map green paper and the gold script paper. Now the map I had to cut off from both sides. I wanted kind of the map in the center, so think about that when you're cutting that paper if you want this look. And then I have a gold strip separating the two, and these 2 die cuts from the pack, the bird and the globe. And the bird I really struggled with because I wanted it behind the frame, and I ended up finally just trimming off the tail a little bit and holding it onto my frame. The frame doesn't have glue on it yet, and then placing it down. I tried pencil marks and all kinds of stuff, but when you have just an off day, that's what this was for me. Definitely an off day, even for the camera, because boy, the camera was having a hard time focusing on all these shiny gold things. So there are a lot more transitions in this video just because every time I wanted it to focus on something, it took like 8 seconds. So you don't want to sit there and wait for 8 seconds. So today, and actually I've had like 2 days of off days, so I hope it gets better soon. But even so, we struggle and we move on and we just keep going, right? And so for finishing off this card, I pulled out the stamp set, Never Lose Hope. What a perfect sentiment for how much struggling I was doing. And I am going to emboss it in gold, my favorite old gold embossing powder here. I used my stamping platform for this one, especially since I already had all that stuff on the card. And heat emboss it. Looks nice and shiny, and that's why I was waiting to put that last die cut leaf on, because I don't want to cover up that sentiment, and so I didn't want to put it on and then find out I didn't put it in the right place, which I have done more times than I care to admit. So to finish off this card, the leaf branch goes on, and I love how this turned out. I think it looks nice. So for card number 5, this was a pattern paper that I really liked when I saw it. It's kind of a gem pattern, looks like, and it's pink, and I've rounded the edges there. And then I also loved the wood grain one, so I used it in a few places. I like how that shade of the blue goes with that shade of the pink also. And I have just cut some banner tails, pennant tails, into this rectangle. And then I have this die cut from the die cut pack, which has that same shade of blue, and look at that detail. It has like speckles on the vase and the gold. It's really nice, and I've put that up on mounting tape. And I'm again bringing in the stamp set, and this is Sending Loving Thoughts, I believe. And again, I'm going to use that same gold embossing powder of mine to emboss it. This time, I'm not messing with my stamping platform, just using a stamp block, acrylic block, but I do prep that paper with my powder, because I find I get better results that way. And I'm using the same sticky ink, little ink cube I have, and put my gold embossing powder on there. And then you've already seen this whole process, so we'll just show you the results. Sending Loving Thoughts. Now, I had just a scrap of white card, and so obviously it's too big, and again, I struggled trimming it. It's not perfectly straight, and I trimmed and trimmed and trimmed, and Yeah, but you know what? It's got that handmade charm, so that's what I'm going with. That's right. So to finish it off, I have put a little heart, pink heart from the die cut pack on mounting tape, and then a few sequins, and that will finish this card off. Still looks nice with a little handmade charm. Now card number 6 has a few elements going. There's this lovely it's almost tone on tone, but it has white distressed floral pattern of pink. And then I have the lighter pink cardstock from the kit that I'm going to place down on the lower half, well, sort of lower. And then I have 3 rectangles, and they're each a 1/4 inch larger than the next. And the first is the medium pink cardstock from the kit. Then we have that same first floral pattern paper, a scrap from that. And I don't want to cover up too much of that because that's a beautiful paper. And then the final one here is the second paper in the paper pad, which was the white with the really light floral pattern. So they kind of stagger there. And then our focal image on this card will be these die cuts from the die cut pack, this floral cluster, and then both of this particular leaf. Now, I've got the floral cluster up on foam squares, and I'm trying to figure out where I want it. And again, I just move things around a lot on this, but the 2 leaves I want to go down flat. So I use the liquid glue and place them down first, kind of holding that floral cluster in place. And then here I am switching it all around again, because I want room for my sentiments, this chipboard sticker here. So finally I figure out where I'm going to put it and take all those backing papers off and place it down. And then we'll show you these. Again, it took a long time. It says grateful. I think it's like family and traditions or something, that gold. I'm not sure what the gold says. And then I have the little gold heart from the die cut pack just kind of peeking out from behind that chipboard sticker there. And to finish off the card, I am again going to place the sequins. Now these sequins, they look clear when you look at them by themselves, but they really do pick up the color in the card behind them. So I think all the ones I use end up looking very pink because they're picking up the pink shades of the paper in the background. So a couple more sequins here will finish this card off. It makes it in the end, yay! There was a bit of struggle, but yes. So for card number 7, this is kind of a different idea here. So if you're wondering how I got that round, here it is, the footage of how. Now if you have, I used a dinner plate, that's right, it's a huge red dinner plate. If you have a large circle die or like a large curve like that, it'd probably be easier, but I do not have anything that large. So I was going through the dishes, pulling out plates and bowls until I found one big enough for the idea I had. And I just traced around the edge with my pencil. You know, another thing that might work is, what are those things called that you put the pencil in and it draws a circle? I am completely blank on that, but that would work also. So then again, I bring in the wood grain blue paper, a rectangle, and here is, if you're doing this card at home, originally in my plan, that rectangle was centered left and right, and for some reason, I'm way over on the left. I don't know what's going on. It's driving me nuts, even now, and I can't really fix it. It is what it is. It ends up being relatively balanced in the end, but if I could fix it, I'd move it a little bit to the right. So I pull that up a bit because also I'd forgotten that I wanted to put this gold leafy die cut underneath, getting kind of a layered look here. And then I have the die cut sentiment from the pack that says always remember. So I've got to put that down so that I don't cover it up with my mounted gold leaf die cut. And to find a place for this, I wanted some of that other gold sticking out behind, so I move it up a little bit. So there's a lot going on the left, but I'm going to end up putting a lot of things on the right anyway, so it does have kind of a balanced look in the end. I have a scrap of the gold card, bringing into the stamp set that tiny little love you at the bottom, and I have a scrap of white that I'm going to stamp the love you onto. And I am using my trusty old VersaFine Onyx Black ink. The only drawback here is it takes a little bit of time to dry because it's a pigment ink, so I actually hit it with the heat gun in between here. And then I'm going to just use liquid glue to glue it down onto the gold, but I'm going to trim it down first because I don't need that much. And just use the liquid glue for speed and ease. Plus I didn't want to mess up in case it wasn't fully dry, the ink on there. So you see, I've learned to be a little more careful sometimes. And then I'm going to use the liquid glue again for that gold piece, and I'm moving it over to the right a bit. Yeah. So it's getting a little more balanced, but it still bothers me that that rectangle isn't more centered. So if you make the card, fix that for me, will ya? Yes, we have a die-cut butterfly and the 2 die-cut hearts. There's that same shade of blue they have, but a few different die-cut hearts. I think in multiple shades of pink and a couple blues, and then just 2 in the gold. I used both the gold ones. I'm staggering them there, and then the butterfly I'll put on the top right. And again, that helps balance overall. But there you go. That's how this card turns out. Let me know what you think in the comments. So for card number 8, this one ends up being very elegant and simple, and I really love it. I've got that script paper again, and I've got a panel of gold behind it. And then I'm going to use both of these die-cut flowers, and then this flower and this leaf, and these are both up on mounting tape. So first, these 2 are going to go down flat, kind of in the middle of the card. And I'm going to stagger them slightly. Don't worry about those leaves at the bottom because they end up being covered up in the end. And then I would like to attach these 2. So I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue just so that they stay where I want them. And when I put on the mounting tape, I made sure there was room for me to tuck it in. So then I'm going to take all the backer papers off and place this down. And then this card is pretty simple, finishing up with a chipboard sentiment, thank you so much, and that lovely yellow flower from the die cut pack. And those are just, the flower's just going to go down flat next to the chipboard sentiment. And that finishes off card number 8, I believe. I love how there's a lot of shimmer to these cards. Card number 9 was another favorite pattern paper of mine, the Raindrops, and it does have that gold throughout in different drops. I have a 1/2-inch strip of gold that I've put onto my adhesive backing paper. And there's a little bit of overhang because I didn't trim it down ahead, so I'm going to trim that off with my scissors. And then I'm going to take the 2 different clouds that came in the die cut pack, and then this chipboard sticker, and the lighter colored cloud I have up on the mounting squares. So first I am going to place down this darker cloud flat above, kind of coming behind the chipboard rainbow, which the chipboard rainbow is still on its adhesive, or its backer, acetate backer, so that I can move things around. Now this scrap of blue came from this pattern paper, and then I have a scrap of my adhesive backed gold cardstock. So I'm going to add liquid glue to my little strip there, and I need to take the backer off of the gold, and I'm going to stagger these coming out behind the rainbow. So that's why I have my rainbow still sitting there, so that I can figure out where they go before I place it down. And that looks good to me, so then I'll press them down. And the third little pennant that's going to be sticking out is this other chipboard sticker. It says hang in there. So I'm going to add a little adhesive there and tuck it in underneath the cloud, making sure I don't cover up the sentiment. And then when I'm happy with the position there, I can take my rainbow off the backer and place it down with some more adhesive, some liquid adhesive. I added quite a bit because it's got to go over the added dimension of that little bit of the hang in there chipboard sticker, but I think it can handle it. It's not quite even, but it works. And then I take all the backer paper off of this cloud, and I end up changing where those are because I want it to overhang on the other chipboard sticker just a little bit. And then that will finish this card off, and here's how it turns out. I think it says there couldn't be rainbows without, or there couldn't be rainbows without clouds or something. I can't remember. So for card number 10, I loved this pattern paper, and I loved the way the clouds are on there. I also love this chipboard sticker. It's just a butterfly, but the two of these, they're just standalone, beautiful pieces. And so I just want to add a little bit to finish it off. I'm using the dies, Just Saying Hello, cut out twice, once in gold and once in white. And I'm trying to show how I've staggered. It's kind of like a shadow. And you can see an example of this on the reference card, the Card Kit of the Month reference card, except that theirs is their shadow or whatever, or it's a highlight, is kind of above. I wanted mine coming below, so the white is sticking out below the words, if that makes sense. And here I've already lost one of the dies. So I'm trying to show you. There are these flowers. The white flower I cut out of this flower die, but there's also a die that cuts out the little centerpiece, which I have no idea where it is, and I will have to look for it. But as of filming, it has disappeared, and that's how I cut out the gold parts, there was a die for that. So don't lose yours. Yeah. I am optimistic that I'll be able to find it, but right now it's missing. So I'm going to put a few sequins here and there, and then some of the flowers with the white flower. I cut out the flower in white with a gold center. It's a little bit difficult to get them on, but this is how that looks if you want a close-up look. I also liked that little white butterfly, subtle butterflies in that pattern paper. Of course I loved it because I love butterflies. So here is card number 10 with all the little tiny embellishments that I added. And a quick look at all 10 cards again. This was a fun kit to work with, but I am definitely off my game, so it was a challenge for me. I don't know why. And you'll have to let me know which ones are your favorites. I really love how the vellum kind of looks with that one floral pattern paper. And I don't know which one's my favorite, but man, the one I wish I could do over was that one yellow one, because it's a little imbalanced, but yeah. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful creative day. I do have a few more cards that I have in the works, so stay tuned, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll be able to see those when I can get them out pretty soon here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, have a wonderful and creative day. Thanks for watching. Bye!